I believed my 6-year marriage was unbreakable, until I discovered my wife cheated with a stranger she met at a club. She contracted a life-threatening disease, and to make it worse, her own family refused to take care of her. Hello Reddit I+ here. I always believed our marriage was unbreakable. For 6 years I stood by my wife, Rachel, through every trial and triumph. We were the kind of couple people admired, laughing at inside jokes, finishing each other's sentences, and holding hands, even when no one was looking. I thought our love was invincible, but I was wrong. The night everything shattered started like any other. Rachel had planned a girls' night with her friends, something she did every now and then. I had no reason to suspect anything. Why would I? We trusted each other, or at least I thought we did. A week later, she got sick. At first, we assumed it was just the flu, body aches, fever, fatigue. But the symptoms worsened. She was too weak to get out of bed, and her fever climbed dangerously high. I rushed her to the hospital, expecting a straightforward diagnosis and some antibiotics. Instead, the doctor's face darkened as he pulled me aside. "She's contracted a serious illness," he said, his voice grave. "We need to run more tests, but I have to ask. Has she been exposed to anything unusual?" Unusual? Number. Not that I knew of, but the next few days unraveled the truth I never saw coming. Late one night, Rachel broke down in tears, her body shaking with sobs. "I have to tell you something," she choked out, barely able to meet my eyes. And then she confessed. That night out with her friends? It didn't end with just drinks and dancing. She met a stranger at the club. One reckless decision, one night of betrayal, had led to this. The disease she had contracted was life-threatening, and it had come from that one mistake. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. My mind screamed at me to leave, to walk away from the woman who had torn our vows apart. But as much as I hated what she had done, I couldn't ignore the fact that she was suffering. She was still my wife, the woman I had loved for so many years. But Rachel's family didn't feel the same way. When they learned the truth, they abandoned her completely. Her parents, once so proud of her, refused to take her in. Her sister, who used to be her best friend, wouldn't answer her calls. It was as if she had been erased from their lives, and so, the responsibility fell on me, the betrayed husband, the man she had lied to, the man she had broken. For weeks, I wrestled with my emotions. Every time I brought her food, every time I helped her sit up in bed, I was reminded of what she had done. Anger, resentment, grief, they waged war inside me. But there was another part of me, one that still saw the woman I had built a life with, the woman who had made a terrible mistake, and was now paying for it in the worst way possible. One night, as I sat beside her hospital bed, she reached for my hand. "I don't deserve your kindness," she whispered. "I don't deserve you." For the first time since her confession, I let my guard down. "No," I said honestly, "you don't." Silence stretched between us, and then I asked the question that had been burning inside me since the moment I learned the truth. "Why?" Her lips trembled. "I don't know. I was drunk. I was stupid. And for 1 second I let myself believe it wouldn't matter. But it did. And now I've lost everything." I nodded, my chest heavy. "Yeah, you have." The days passed, and despite the betrayal, I couldn't bring myself to walk away. Maybe it was loyalty. Maybe it was pity. Or maybe deep down, I just wasn't ready to say goodbye to the person she used to be. In the end, Rachel survived the illness. But our marriage did not. I took care of her until she was strong enough to manage on her own. And then, I left. Not out of anger, but because I knew I deserved better. Because staying with her would mean living in the shadow of her betrayal forever. Rachel begged me to reconsider, swore she would spend the rest of her life making up for what she had done. But some things, no matter how much you try to mend them, will never be whole again. Our love had been unbreakable, until it wasn't. I moved out of our home a week later, renting a small apartment on the other side of town. The space was unfamiliar, cold, and quiet. It felt both like a relief and a punishment. Nights were the hardest. I was used to the weight of her beside me, the warmth of her presence. Now, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to process how my life had changed so drastically in such a short time. Then came the messages. Rachel tried to call, text, even showed up at my door once. I ignored her. But one message made me pause. "I need help. I have no one else. Please, just talk to me." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the reply button. After everything, did I owe her anything more? A part of me wanted to ignore it, to let her figure out life on her own. But another part, the part that still remembered the good times, hesitated. Finally I responded, "What do you need?" Her reply came instantly. "I don't have anywhere to go. Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a quiet coffee shop, and for the first time in weeks, I saw her properly. She looked exhausted, thinner, her eyes rimmed with dark circles. Guilt clung to her like a second skin. "I know I hurt you," she said, "and I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I don't know where else to go." I took a slow breath, choosing my words carefully. "Rachel, I won't let you be homeless. But that doesn't mean we can fix what's broken." She nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. "I understand. I just want to say I'm sorry." Maybe she truly was. Maybe she would never hurt me again. But I wasn't willing to take that risk. I helped her find a temporary place to stay. I made sure she had what she needed. But when I walked away from her that final time, I knew one thing for certain. I was finally free.